volcanoes, both a terrifying force, but at the same time, a life-giving mechanism to the produce that is grown around it. And three Italian guys have captured the essence of Europe's most active volcano, Mount Etna, and made a couple of, shall we call them, explosive gins. Let's check them out. Hi guys, and welcome to High on Gin. Today I am going to take a closer look at the Volcano Gin and their two gins, the Etna Dry Gin and the Etna Rosé Gin. And when I saw that my local gin dealer gins.dk had gotten two gins from Sicily, I was pretty intrigued, as I have a very soft spot for this beautiful island. You see, my very first vacation on an airplane with my family was back in, I think, 1979. Yeah, I'm an old guy. And as a young boy, and seeing Mount Etna with its more than 3,300 meter height, and the white smoke coming out of the top as a constant reminder of its potential of being an untamed force, made a huge impact on me as a kid. And I especially remember the trip to the top, passing numerous vineyards and farms full of color and life and some of the best produce of all kinds, until you reach the top of Mount Etna. That really looks like if you've just landed on the moon. And the diverse landscape and the untamable forces of nature was both terrifying and yet very, very fascinating. And the meeting with Etna, with Sicily, and its wonderful people really stuck with the boy ever since. And Etna, of course, plays an even greater role for everyone living on the island. And it is these diverse forces that the guys from Volcano Gin had tried to combine in the gins in front of me here. But before I take a closer look at the gins, just allow me to touch very briefly on the amazing nature of a volcano and of Etna, and how it helps grow some of the best botanicals and produce in the world. You see, there are more than 1,500 active volcanoes around the world, and even more underwater. And 75% of these volcanoes are located around the tectonic plates. And Etna is located on the edge between the Eurasian plate, I think it's called, and the African plate. And lava begins its journey deep in the ground of the Earth's core. And here, the core burns as hot as the surface of the sun. And of course, the heat transfer to the surrounding rocky mantles or layers, which of course melts the rocks, creating what is known as magma. And as more and more rocks are melted into magma, the pressure builds. And as magma is lighter than the surrounding solid rock, it rises through the mantle. And the magma escapes through the vents in the Earth's crust. And this causes, of course, volcanic eruptions. As the magma gets above ground, it is now referred to as lava. And the melted rocks, when it reaches the Earth's core, or when it comes out of the Earth, reaches temperatures of over 1,000 degrees Celsius, or more than 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And Etna is the largest active volcano on the European continent, and as far as I know, the world's most active volcano in general. And since the year 2000, it has already erupted 4 times. And some of the local Sicilians calls it Mamma, or the gentle giant, and they are constantly reminded of the extreme forces of nature. Of course, the eruptions, but also all the earthquakes that they get. But they also benefit immensely from what the volcano brings to the island of Sicily in terms of some of the most fertile land to grow produce in. And this is due to the fact that the breakdown of the cooled lava and the volcanic ashes provides nutrients to the soil, such as iron or calcium or magnesium or sodium or phosphorus or sulfur or silicon, and many more trace elements. A very rich combination that can act as a stimulant for a plant to grow in. And when you combine this with the Mediterranean climate, you simply have a winner. And it is this crossfield between living in the shadow of Etna and growing of some of the best produce in the world that Volcano Gin is built upon. So let's check out Volcano Etna Dry Gin and the Volcano Etna Rosé Gin. The story of Volcano Gin begins with the three inventors of the gin, Alessandro, Stefano, and Diego. And when they, I think around 2015 or beginning of 2016, when they walked through the landscape surrounding Mount Etna, and they got this idea to capture the magnificent produce and botanicals and aromas that the area are so known for. Not least the local wildly grown juniper berries that benefits hugely from the high content of minerals in the soil. And so they did, making the first Sicilian gin. And the first one was this one here, the black Etna Dry Gin. And here they chose to go with 5 local botanicals. Local Etna juniper berries, wild broom flower, which is this very beautiful yellow flower that you will find everywhere and that provides a bittersweet note to the gin. They went with wild fennel that adds a herbaceous licorice taste to the gin. They used bitter orange and then hazelnuts that really adds texture and binds the gin together. And the base alcohol is a grain-based alcohol, probably wheat I would guess. And this is of course distilled, and then the botanicals are macerated in the alcohol but added to the cold alcohol at different stages in the process. The bottle design is also a tribute to Mount Etna and Sicily. This very heavy crystal-like bottle, of course, stands out. But just look at this amazing stopper here. The unmistakable stopper really stands out. This massive lava stopper makes a huge impression, I think. You know, just like the mountain does itself. And it is made with volcanic sand, and the big V here and the stopper is hand-painted locally. So whenever you open this bottle here, you really feel that you have a piece of Etna in your hand. In the nose you get the floral notes and the herbs and a very, very smooth and inviting smell. You get the citrus notes. It is carried by the very fine alcohol, and then you get this very clear herbaceous licorice notes from the fennel. You get this slightly peppery spiciness, and you really sense this fine oily texture that the hazelnut provides. And then they did this one here, a limited version together with Gambino Winery that makes some of the finest DOC wines. The vineyard lays on the slopes of Mount Etna at around 800 meters above sea level. And the labeling DOC stands for Denominazione di Origine Controllata. I hope I got that one right. But if you're not familiar with the DOC labeling, you might know its French counterpart, Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée, or AOC, a wine classification system based on where and how wines are made. The Italian DOC system, introduced in 1963, is based on the French model but goes one step further. It specifies not only the production area and the methods for each wine, but also guarantees the quality standard of certain wines, which pass a government taste test. So, 2 of the finest locals have joined forces in making this gin here. And they have taken the cold macerated gin and then let it rest in the winery's oak wine barrels from the production of their Petto Dragone, where they have left some of the lees of Nerello Mascalese to add an additional elegant vinous fragrance to the gin. And if you don't know the term lees, lees are predominantly dead yeast cells left over from the wine's fermentation process. And I know, although it doesn't sound appealing when talking about it, lees have several benefits when it comes to enhancing certain aromas and textures. And the grape Nerello is a type of grape that is almost synonymous with Etna Rosso. The name Nerello means the little black, and Mascalese refers to the area around the city of Mascali in eastern Sicily, at the foot of the volcano Etna. Nerello is this thin-skinned grape, but still have a lot of tannins. The wines are generally light and dry, with medium acidity and many fine tannins. And the basic taste of the wine is normally red berries and rhubarb and flowers. And you know what? That is exactly what you get when you smell and taste this Etna Rosé Gin. The red berries, this rhubarb and the flowery notes that really shines through the Etna Dry Gin, giving the gin an additional fragrant layer of complexity. Serving these gins as a gin and tonic, I would go with a Mediterranean tonic, and it goes perfectly with both of these gins. But to give the Etna Dry Gin a bit of edge, I use a tiny piece of lemon zest that I think really helps it from not being too sweet. And don't use a too large of a piece, because then the gin and tonic just becomes bitter. And for the rosé gin, I use a tiny piece of lime zest for the same reason as I use it in here. But lime and its more aromatic fragrance, it really helps to play a part with the more floral notes in this gin here. You see, guys, I love Sicily, and I love the fact that they have taken both local botanicals and incorporated Etna in the design, as dramatic as they have. It really makes me want to go back and visit the beautiful island again. So, until next time, ciao.